Billy, welcome to the studio. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. And we're here to talk about, well, what you've got coming up, which is the Wayzgoose of Silly Gooze.
Which has very conveniently been pinned up. Yes, so let's guess start with Silly Goose, I suppose. Silly Goose being a sort of open and friendly risograph studio in Northamptonshire. We are based at the depot in Wigan, and we sometimes are open at the weekend, sometimes not. That's where you stumbled across us. We do risograph printing, a little bit of screen printing, artist books, and people come to us with ideas, and we don't really say no. So yeah, we get involved in all kinds of stuff. It's an artist-run space, so both myself and Dylan, who works there full-time, are artists, and that means that when people come to us and they want posters that are also badges, that are also an artwork, we don't say no. That was an inside joke. And we are, well, mainly Dylan has been organising, but the Wayzgoose Printfair, which is happening in August Bank Holiday weekend.
Cool. And Wayzgoose isn't just a word you've made up to fit on Silly Gooze.
No. So Silly Goose came from Wayzgoose, really. So Wayzgoose is a printmaking term that traditionally meant like an end-of-year party or celebration run by master printmaker for the apprentices and fellows to celebrate the year being done. And it's kind of evolved over time to being this idea about a celebration in a print room, which we're using loosely to mean a print fair.
Yeah, because I had a brief, it might even be on your website, like the history of it. It was to do with kind of the last time they could print without having to use candlelight. So as weather was waning.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure it was that on your website.
That probably was written by Dylan, who will have lengthily researched that, and I had no idea. But yeah, that would make sense. That's quite cool. Thank you for teaching me something about my my own business.
But I do love that it has a connection back to where it comes from. It's not like an arbitrary thing you're doing.
Yeah, no, and it's basically we wanted to do a print fair, and we've been wanting to do one for a while. When we first launched Silly Goose, we had like a makers market, which was like a winter market that had some print stuff, but it was also open to other creatives, and it was great to launch at that. But this is much more about print, photography, scenes, publications, and there is other things. There's a bit of sculpture. There's some workshops, there's demos, there's other things happening, but I guess the focus is really about that idea of print as a process, and therefore the Wayzgoose being the really important part of that.
Yeah, and I think that's good though, because people want to get back to that process a little bit, and like that's why, like when I stumbled upon you guys in the depot while I was poking around, like it was kind of exciting because a lot of people kind of they need some printing done. Well, the print is a print, no matter what. There's like, hang out with you guys, there's sort of many more options and variations.
I mean, unfortunately Dylan couldn't make it this evening because he's not doing too well, just a bit under the weather. So basically, the reason I'm saying that is because really his entire practice as an artist is really that anything can be print, and that we engage with print in so many ways all of the time without even realizing it. But I think the majority of people understand print as either they press print on their printer and out comes a Word document, or something that they engage with as a magazine or a book. But there are a lot more there's a lot more scope within that, and there are so many more printing methods. Our focus is risograph. So it's a process that's kind of like silkscreen printing, but a digital version of layering up colours, and we'll probably scoot back around to that. But the point of that, me mentioning that, was that actually, yeah, there is so much more, and hopefully the Wayzgoose shows off.
Yeah, which I think it's really important to have a place where people can see these, because like even like I said, that's how people perceive what a print is, and even if you try and look online, you often get kind of shimmied down rabbit holes that reinforce that belief, or you know.
And I think you've probably hit it as well, that actually the majority of the art that we engage with is digital, whether we mean it to be or not. We see photographs online, we see them through a screen, we see artworks that took hundreds of hours to paint through the screen online. And it's actually really important to meet the people that are making these works and see them in real life and see where they're made as well, which is why we're opening up a studio.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's been a problem for a while, that a lot of sort of artists and art space has been trying to push back against. So like the beauty of doing a print fair is not just, it is that you can come and meet people in person and actually build human connection rather than just a follow or Facebook friends or whatever, which kind of is this like weird asymmetrical communication. I mean, it doesn't really cover anything and leads to even more staring at screens, which was a problem already and seems to be becoming more of an issue as we go on.
I think you've actually reminded me of something really cool as a kind of aside, but we're launching an edition at the Wayzgoose by Luke Harvey, a print that he has done, which he's made by digitally printing and photographing a billboard, digitally printing the photo, and then scanning it through the Riso scanner, scanning that back in digitally, manipulating it, splitting it into red, green, and blue, and then we have printed it out in 3 Riso colours. So it's a really distorted image of an image of an image that has been physically printed in digital colours. Which is mad when you start thinking about it.
Yeah, when you explain it in those terms, it starts to really add up, and it sounds like something that only you, Dylan, and Luke would have thought.
It's totally Luke. It's totally been driven by Luke, which is really cool because that's what the studio is here for. It's here so that people that have got their ideas, that there are lots of research studios around the country. Very few of them are open in the way that we are, where you can come and make your work in the studio with us and experiment with us, so that Luke actually had the option of rescanning in the image and playing with it on the Riso before he made the final edition, which isn't something that you can do if you're sat at home by yourself looking at a screen.
That's such a cool thing as well. And I think obviously your specialism is like risograph, but even if you then consider any other process or sort of business that offers the service of that process, it's a very rare thing to be like the one that springs to mind from like photography land would be like film development. Like there's very few places where you're going to be like, can you develop this roll of film with me, and they'd let you see the process. It's just like it disappears and comes back, which is a lot of the way these processes go. Like even did another podcast with a guy who works with a print company for books and things, and it's like a big problem where like making a book in this day and age has become like you sit behind a screen, you send a PDF, and a book magically appears back to you with no like or it doesn't. It just magically appears when somebody buys it online, and it appears on their doorstep, and you've never even seen the copy of the thing that you've made, which is another sort of scary way of doing it. isn't Amazon's publishing system like that? You kind of
so there's a number of print on demand things that work like that. Yeah, where I think you basically do just upload a PDF and it appears as a staple bound thing in somebody's letterbox.
Yeah, which is really sad because then you as the artist never actually experience the end product.
Yeah,
Unless you buy your own.
I think there's scope for artists to play with that, absolutely. But yeah, as it stands, I mean, for some people, it's the way to get their work published, and that's great. But I think as printmakers, we are a special group of people that like to get our hands dirty with making the work. There are photographers that are absolutely in love with taking an image, but that's the most important thing, and the image is done and they see it on a screen and that's fine. There are people that then want to follow that through and have a physical copy. There are people that want that want 20 of those bound up in a book. There's no right or wrong. And there'll be people that want to do it all analog and develop it in under red light, and that's perfectly fine too. I think what we do at Silly Goose hopefully allows space for all of those things to happen, and you can make the work how you want to make. If you want to send us a PDF, we can send you your prints in the post a few days later. But if you want to come in and you want to make a book and you want to look at all of our papers and our inks and our binding methods and you want to learn how to bind it and you want to do all of that, then we can do that as well.
I guess there's like with like the Amazon example where it's like there's two ways of viewing it. Like this is kind of awful or it's actually very democratic. But like the difference is with the way you're doing it, where there's scope to do all of those options, it's because they are genuine options.
Yeah.
As you know, some people are offering one or the other and it can turn into almost like elitism or the feeling that this is the only option that is available to me, so I have to do it this way, even if it's not suitable. As I think with you guys, it's genuine what works for the artist at the time.
Exactly. And there will be people that, I guess going back to that photography sort of view of looking at things, the most important thing for them is taking that photo and then getting it out there as quickly as possible. And if they want to do print form, then maybe the print on demand version is a good idea because they've built their collection of images. They're not really that bothered about how it's bound, how it comes together, as long as people get to see those images and they physically hold them. But there are people that would rather have one photo printed in 5 Riso colors on paper made from algae rather than a book come through on Amazon. And that's cool too.
Yeah, it's what people want. It comes down to that and what they're trying to achieve with their way of going through things.
Yes.
But I you know, someone who's always trying to find new things or new exciting things, going somewhere where it's like, well, you and Dylan showing about 100 different types of cakes that are all is like, okay, it brings some depth to it. As I feel like a lot of, especially I noticed it in like younger artists, kind of like the world seems kind of devoid of possibilities because it is just like, well, why are you making this? It's like post it on Instagram later. It's like, well, why? It's like, well, that's the done thing.
Yes, that's the end point for a lot, isn't it?
And then eventually you do that for long enough while and you start to think, I'm only this old, like, if I got 80 more years of this to go, like, okay, I've reached the end already. That seems too easy. I mean,
I suppose for a lot of younger people, Instagram is how they are engaging with images, how they're engaging with print as a digital format, and hopefully there's enough people that move from that into physical, that they move on from using their iPhone to using fancy cameras, that they want to learn print, that they want to get involved in painting or whatever the art form is. But I think Instagram is a really brilliant tool for that, but I think it's important that it's not the only one.
Yeah, if it works alongside of actually being people. Because to be honest, like, Instagram still played a role in me finding you guys because I recognise the the logo you had in the window and was like, definitely seen that somewhere.
Research is really Instagrammable. It's bright colours most of the time. I mean, you can do different things with it. The sort of the common is the fluoro pink. Everybody loves the fluoro pink. We try to avoid it as much as possible because there are so many more colours that you can use. But it is vibrant. It is great. It's catchy and it looks great on Instagram.
Yeah, which drives a lot of. She's gonna steer people to, but also the reason it's popular on Instagram isn't because Instagram's a different realm. It's because it's eye-catching and it's fluorescent and it's a bright color and people enjoy that.
And let's be honest. I mean, as creatives, we are all hoping that somebody sees our stuff, and if Instagram is helping to do that,
that's it. Yeah, because like the way a lot of kind of art spaces that exist in the moment, they're not exactly spaces that you've accidentally stumbled upon completely blind, you know, like, I mean, your one's not difficult to find in the depot, but like here we're on the second store video of an old shoe factory, and then like Studio Malarkey is right on the top floor of another building that doesn't really look like it's supposed to be knocking on the top, you know, and there's a lot of these different ones. So like in that sense, getting people through online, whether it's Instagram or just the internet in general, like giving them almost like permission that they are allowed into those spaces. It's like you use it to, it's what you use it for, right?
I think until a billionaire buys Instagram and ruins it, it is the main point of contact for most people to see most image-based stuff because that's what it was built for. It's always lovely when you're wandering through a new town that you've not been before and you discover something just by wandering around it. But in today's world, that doesn't really happen. And like you say, there are really important, amazing art places in Northampton and around the country that you will not find by wandering around unless you randomly wander into an old shoe factory or to the top floor of a brewery. So you have to use what you've got.
But that's where also something like your Wayzgoose comes in, because it is because I mean, like the real like base level description is it's a print fair. People can come and buy stuff from other artists and places, but also there's an element of that social engagement, which it's like just talking to the other artists there is going to get, because from doing other sort of print fairs and stuff, you tend to find the biggest value isn't, oh, I've sold loads of this. It's like you've met a bunch of really interesting people who are also like-minded because they're also drawn to this event. I think bringing all of those people into one place kind of does act in surrogate to things like Instagram, even though more than likely what happens if someone is interesting, you end up swapping Instagram.
Or just end up randomly on their Instagram without realising because they've taken a picture of something they like.
Yes, and then but it builds those connections to people, and because it's in person, it means the person must be at least able to get to that area. As it's
and that's a big consideration for us. Accessibility is a huge thing. We were on the top floor of a different unit. In fact, actually, we were on originally sort of in the very early conceptions of maybe we could be a public thing. We were on the third floor of a building in Northampton town. Then we're on the second floor over in the depot, and then we've moved to the ground floor. But ultimately, we are in Middle England, which is great, but there's no real public transport directly to it. You have to come to us. You're not going to stumble across us. Hopefully people will come to us. But you do have to travel to us. Once you're there, it's pretty accessible, but we aren't as accessible. Well, I was going to say we aren't as accessible as maybe if you were in London or Birmingham, but maybe that makes you less accessible. I don't know.
I mean, everything has its different advantages and disadvantages, right? But you are in like a pretty, like, relatively beautiful area. Like it's not, you're not super out of the way. And there is a bus that runs there from.
There is a bus.
I guess if you're coming from like London and Birmingham, you'd have to come probably here first and then back out. But
yeah, I mean, you can get the train to Long Rugby, or you can get the train to Northampton. And then you can get a bus or a taxi, so there are options. But the bus doesn't come, the main bus obviously goes through like on the main road rather than coming as close directly to the depot. I think there is one that maybe goes through the village, but I don't know what number it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd have to do your research for sure. We do know other sort of galleries and institutions and stuff that are much more out in the middle of nowhere, and they're able to organise buses and stuff, but they're obviously bigger. But yeah, we're relatively accessible.
Plus, the other advantage is you're not the only thing there.
No.
So there's the rest of the depot, which I think you could easily make a day out.
Yeah. There's
so it's
the bookshop, there's antique shops, there's a cafe, there's a bar, there's other stuff that wander around. Absolutely,
there's stuff to do,
and it's an amazing collection of buildings as well. Just to have a walk.
So it's not, I think, because I think sometimes people with like events are like, oh, so we've got to travel and then we're going to spend 20 minutes there and then we're going to travel. But I don't think you're in a position where it.
Hopefully not.
I think people have spent more than 20 minutes, and
we've spaced out stuff. It might be a good time to talk about like the program stuff. So we've spaced out things throughout the day that hopefully mean that people do want to hang around, that they can hop to the coffee shop and have some lunch and come back because there's stuff to see. So we're 11 till 4 each day, open to the public. 11 till 12 each day, it's going to be a quiet hour. So it's specifically for, well, I say specifically, it's open to everyone, and the whole event is open to everyone and completely free to attend. But that first hour each day is hopefully meaning that people that have some difficulties, are maybe neurodiverse, maybe just don't like crowds, don't like loud noises. That's the ideal time for them to come, so that they are not put off by just not excluded, basically. And then from 12 until 3, on and off, there'll be RESO demos, so you can actually see the RESO process in action. My voice is probably high there. And then 1 o'clock each day. So on the Saturday, we have a workshop by Rachel House, which is a queer voices workshop, which is going to be about like being seen and being heard. And if you want to be involved with that, both workshops are free both days. But if you want to be involved with that, there's a chance that we might be turning that, like the results of that, into a zine as a commission for Silly Gooze afterwards. But that's still sort of discussion. And then on the Sunday, the workshop is with Fig House, which is Bethany, and she's going to be doing like comic drawing. There's only going to be 12 spaces, so it'll be sign-up sheet on the day. Again, free, but you need to sign up because we're going to turn those into 2-color RESO comics. And so you actually go away with a comic. And then, of course, there are people, artists, creatives to actually buy their stuff from. So fingers crossed we've got 10 stallholders, and I say fingers crossed because one of them is 8 months pregnant. So that is a gamble. But yes, we've slowly been announcing who's coming on our Instagram, and today I've updated the website with the full list, so you guys are on there now. The Instagram post isn't out there yet, but you guys are coming, which is really super.
Yeah, I think that's going to be cool as well, because like we've done a few other fairs and stuff, but have one that's still relatively close to fancy, but still, yes, out there enough. That's probably some new faces and stuff. So even for us who are coming as stallholders, it's just interesting to meet, from people and stuff, and we see what's going on.
Some people from Northampton, some people from like Leicestershire, and then like London, Margate. Like there's a good mix of people, and it's the same people both days. So if you can only make one day, that's absolutely fine. You're not going to miss out. That was really important when we were planning it. I know sometimes there's things that are happening across different days, and you end up missing out other than the workshops being different and the demos of what we're demoing is being different, you're not going to miss out if you can only make one day. But if you can be a part of both days, then obviously amazing. There's, as I said, a new edition launching by Luke Harvey. There was talk of a candy floss machine as well, but that might be Dylan getting carried away with stuff. We have a candy floss machine. Whether we use the candy floss machine is another matter. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It feels like it's coming together now, and hopefully people will come. It's the big part of it.
I think when there's something exciting happening, people always come. I think that's always the biggest worry with it's always the biggest worry with events though, that it's 2 days. I'm assuming you've told people.
We've told people, we've sent out press releases, we've done what we should have done.
So you've reeled off a long list of people who are involved who,
They've all told me.
Yeah, they'll all tell their friends and stuff. I think always it's and also people love something to do. Yeah, is the other thing, because there's loads of stuff to do, but not a lot of good stuff to do. And this is
What's probably worth mentioning is there's also the Weedon Weekender. So in the village of Weedon, they have. It's always an August bank holiday weekend. They have loads of bands on the green and in various different pubs, and they have a village fete. It's basically a big village fete, but for the whole weekend. It's one of the reasons why we've organised it for that weekend, because we can hopefully piggyback from people. They have thousands of people to send on the town, and that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
So it's a very small big thing, which is quite cool. So there will be extra people in the area, so obviously that's going to help. We aren't affiliated with them, but they know that it's happening, and we know that that's happening, and we've reached out and kind of made a bit of a connection, which is good. But yeah, so I mean, even after 4 o'clock when we close up, there will be stuff happening in the town, in the village, on until 11, 12 o'clock in the evening. So what more to ask for?
Yeah, exactly what you want. I think you'll be surprised. It'll probably be busier than you're.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about that as well. We have maximum capacity. Yeah, no, I think it's the biggest thing that we've organised at the studio, in terms of, I guess, of our joy of having all of these printmakers together and having the workshops happening and it being 2 days. It is a bit terrifying, but you've got to try, I suppose, is the answer. We could have just done it all on Instagram, I suppose.
But I think it's worthwhile trying with these things, and it's stupid not to, especially if it's something you've been thinking about since starting up to use and what.
And I think the nice thing is, if no members of the public come, then there's a group of printmakers that are really genuinely interested in print, art, publications that are all going to get together. We've got a studio, we've got paper, we've got ink. So it's going to be a great day for us anyway.
Yeah. Which is, the nice thing. You've got that many people there from all over coming together. But there will be people from the public.
Yeah, there will. Of course,
there will. You're on busiest weekend. We might do a minutes, which will be super cool. Say anything else you wanted to? Workshops.
Workshops is what we're going to talk about. Yeah. So the two main biggest parts of what we do at Silly Gooze are printmaking for people and publications for people and galleries and that sort of thing. But then we also have workshops. So we've just done a sort of spring/summer school of 4 workshops. School is a loose term. I mean, you only have to go to one of them. I mean, it's not like you have to go to all 4. But we've got another 4 coming up. And so one is the weekend straight after the Wayzgoose. That is a resew introduction workshop. So you don't have to have any experience If you come along to the Wayzgoose and you think it's quite cool, you can sign up to that. And we have another one of those in October, I think. And then we have two kind of bookbinding ones. One is for a Japanese stat-bound Riso planner, and the other one is a concertina Riso book. That is a 2-day workshop. That is much more for people that have an understanding of what they want to do and how to do it, which you would learn from an intro workshop. Circling back to how we try and make sure things are accessible, is that all of our workshops are on a tiered paying system. So we have a lower end for if that's all you can afford and there's no questions asked. We have our standard pricing, and then we have a pay it forward. And there's absolutely no questions, absolutely no judgment. It's about making it accessible, and there will be people that want to be involved and can't afford the full price, and that's what it's there for. And there are people that absolutely can afford it and want to help others to access it, and now we'll pay the people, and that's great.
Which is actually is a brilliant system, in my opinion, and also quite it's just slightly ingenious because it is the system that makes the most sense. But I guess most people will be worried about people sort of lying or dodging around it.
But do you know what we talked it through with a bunch of different people and what to do. And there were people that were saying, well, of course, everyone's just going to pay the cheapest price. That's not been the case. We have had people paying across all of the tiers. It's the same way that we did our full tables for the Wayzgoose, in order to make sure that people being involved in the Wayzgoose could pay fairly for what they've done. We also got quite a lot of feedback from people that haven't applied for the Wayzgoose, that they didn't apply because we were too cheap. But we want to make printing, risograph printing, and everything we do as affordable as possible, because we're not here to rip people off. There is enough of that in the world. And ultimately, if you charge a sensible price to be involved in a workshop, it sounds kind of devious. They're going to come back. They're going to make prints of you. So you benefit in the long run. And even if they don't, they've had a great day. There's tea and biscuits. Yeah, it's great.
I guess it does well. And I guess most people aren't actually, I think it's, maybe it's a British thing, but we have a tendency just to assume the worst in everyone.
Yeah.
But actually, if you flip it on yourself, if you were presented with that option, would you try and cheat it? And if it's no, then it's that's the type of person you're here.
I don't know whether this is a sweeping generalisation, but people in the arts tend to be more liberal. They tend to be more open to the idea that there are people in the world that can afford things and can't afford things. And they don't tend to be the people that can afford things. So you get people being honest. You get people being dishonest, of course you do. But I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. They probably balance each other out along the way somewhere.
That's a point. And ultimately, so all of our workshops only have 5 spaces in each, and the point of that is that everybody gets some one-on-one time with us. If everybody paid the lowest price, we're still going to have a great day. So do not feel ashamed because you have to pay the lowest price, or if you want to pay the lowest price because finances are tight that month but you really want to be involved, or just because that's what you want to pay and you don't want to pay more than you have to. That's also absolutely fine.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well that you're giving that one-on-one time as well, and it's not a thing where someone could turn up and there's 400 people in the room.
Exactly. We have been to Riso workshops where we weren't told in advance that we needed some kind of Mac to do the work on. And there's so many people in the room that it's difficult to understand what's going on. You don't get anything beneficial out of it. And whereas the first introduction to Riso workshop we did as part of the it was the first workshop we did for the spring school. everybody went away with a print that they had put time into and gotten something out of it and learned something. And we individually, both myself and Dylan, spent time with, probably not everyone, but everyone got to spend time with at least one of us.
Yeah.
Some people work digitally, some people work analog. You wouldn't have that ability if there was more people, really.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to get into any depth either.
No, yeah.
It's been so
You
cheap.
can actually answer the questions. It is our RESO 101 intro workshops are genuinely designed for people that haven't got a clue in the nicest way possible. But as you're beginning to do it, if you don't have that one-on-one time, how can you ask the questions that you're not understanding? How can you... Okay, so you've started layering something up and then you've suddenly got an idea. Will it work? Will it not work? What's the best way of doing it? Oh, I don't know. The instructor's still talking to that person that they've been talking to for the last half an hour. Obviously, it doesn't work. So hopefully the idea with 2 instructors or 2 printmakers and 5 people, it's a pretty good sort of balance.
Good balance. Yeah, and I think that's just a good importance to put on it, because as well, people have an assumption that they can just learn everything on YouTube, which there's plenty of stuff out there, but you can't ask it questions and have that specific engagement.
You do not have a RESO printer in your home. I'm looking directly at you. If you want to learn RESO, you need to come to us. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's a big investment to make if you then can't do it or get stuck, you know. So I guess, it makes perfect sense. It's all there. And it's, when are the workshops, if you know them off the top of your head?
One of them is, so the first RESO intro is definitely the first weekend after the Wayzgoose. Then we have the RESO Planners Workshop, I think off the top of my head is the 6th of September. It is definitely the 6th of September, because then we're away for 2 weeks and we're having a well-deserved break. And we're hopefully going to make some work of our own because we're going to have some time off. And then we are back at the end of September, I think. It's either end of September or beginning of October. I think it's the beginning of October for another RESO 101. And then the Planners weekend is the final weekend in October, I think. But the dates are on the website.
Cool. And then is there anything else you wanted to get off the chest?
Overwhelmed. I don't think necessarily so, other than come along, even if you are new, have no idea, just want something to do. You can come to the Wayzgoose with no money and still walk away with a print and have a nice day. You can come and spend money with the artists, which is great. You can come and have a chat to them. You can come and just chill out in the space and see what's happening. The only slightly maybe terrifying thing is if you walk in the room and it's completely silent, like it's going to be for the first hour of both days. If that terrifies you, avoid it. But also, it's the only way it's accessible for some other people. And so just bear in mind that we are trying our best to make it as accessible as possible. And we welcome and appreciate your help in that. Yes.
Cool. Nice. Okay.
Nice. So done.
Oh, the dates for the Wayzgoose as well, just in case someone read it from.
So it's the 23rd and the 24th of August. It is from 11 until 4 both days. And we are, Silly Gooze is in Building 5, the old depot, Weedon Beck. The postcode is November 7 for Papa Sierra. And it's free entry.
Important detail. Yeah. But cool. All right.
So, thank you very much.
Sorted.
We'll see you all there.